planning your character. How far in advance? What to do if things go pear-shaped with your plan, and what sort of things should you plan for? So, Brian, why don't you start us off?
Well, I thought of this because I'm in another. We're starting up another campaign, and this is one where I'm actually not doing much planning with my character, simply because I'm not as familiar with the system and everything. It is 3rd edition, which I'm familiar with, but the setting has a bunch of other stuff. Well, we have another player in the same group who's also almost freaking out about his character because he's looking at a bunch the character concept he wants to do and all the feats he at least thinks he needs for it. And I'm thinking, well, you yourself are thinking a lot of campaigns don't last to 20. And I know a lot of people like looking at the what their character is going to look like at level 20. It's really nice. Unfortunately, the only 20th level characters aside, I've only played with really one level 20 character in an actual campaign.
Yeah.
And the only other level 20 characters I ever made were dual characters, where it was a situation like, okay, create a party of 4, everyone's level 20, and we'll battle our parties of 4 together. Other than that, those are the only times I've ever seen level 20. So, I mean, he himself doesn't think the campaign is going to go level 20, so I'm kind of curious why he's planning that far out. But
it sounds like there's some need to plan your character out a little in advance.
You definitely want to know what kind of things you want your character to be good at. Is he going to be good at range? Is he going to be good at melee? What kind of feats you might want to look at? What kind of ability score adjustments might you want to have? What kind of equipment are you going to be kind of fishing for? Those are definitely things to think about. But having like a list of going, okay, at level 2 I'm going to be doing this. At maybe level like 2, 3, and 4 you might want to do it. But you don't want to necessarily always think, okay, at level 18 I'm going to have this level. Because that's lining a little bit too far out. And you don't necessarily know where the campaign is going to go. Perhaps the campaign goes into an area where it's like, oh, this situational ability that I might want that I wouldn't necessarily want always. But if the campaign's in this situation, I'll take it, and the campaign goes into that situation.
Yeah.
I would definitely say plan less for situational things at character creation. Have more universal things that you're going for in the first few levels. And as you see where the campaign goes, then look at the situational stuff.
Okay.
But also, I mean, don't necessarily get fixated on that level, on that end game, that level 20. Because as much as the character is crunch and numbers and everything else, you still want to make it a character, and you don't want to just rigidly. You don't want to be rigidly set in something that by level, and this is all D&D terms, but by midway through your character's adventuring time, suddenly doesn't make any sense. And plus, I mean, when you think that much about the crunch, as we've been talking about, you don't think about the character as much, and you put less time into it. You have less time that you can put into with the character, and it's not really a character at that point. It's just a set of numbers.
Yeah, I'll agree there. I mean, I think it's okay. It's good to think maybe your next 1 or 2 levels or experience gains
or whatever it is. I mean,
or whatever it is that your game uses, but don't, as he said, plan for the next for the total lifespan of your character, because your character is going to have an organic development. I'm going to recall 2 of my characters, Archeo Sinnes and Dancing Firefly. Both are exalted characters. Archeo was a swordsman in the Blessed Isle. So, he's a dragon-blooded, he's very heavily built for combat, and could take out a, Essence 2 or 3 solar with some trouble, but do it. Where Firefly was built for talking and negotiating and convincing people. He was an Eclipse cast solar. So they had 2 different ways in which they were developed. But Archeo, in where he was in his game, was forced to do more bureaucratic stuff and convince people and negotiate and investigate and spent almost no time fighting. In fact, I constantly played him like he had some sort of combative, for lack of a better term, blue balls. Where he was like, is this a fight? A fight? Really? Am I actually going to get to fight? Ah, crap. My group talked him out of it. Dang it. Kind of like Nail in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. But then Firefly, who wasn't a pacifist by any means, but constantly got thrown into combat situation after combat situation after combat situation. And he had minimal combat abilities. He had some, but he wasn't great at it, and that forced him to have to develop his combat abilities more than anything else.
This is also an example of talk with your DM to see what kind of game they're going to be having.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I, though, take a completely different route. I do little planning whatsoever when I make my characters. I will sit down with the book, and I will figure out what I want to play, and as I am making my character, I think of their personality and how they're going to fight. And that game we played Saturday, I made no plans for that character, other than just a slight idea as to what her personality is. I kind of make my character, and I decide as I'm playing her, that I might have an idea as to what I kind of want her background and her past to have been like. A few little things that might have happened in her past. And then, as she levels, I go, you know what? I really noticed that I had more of a tendency to use my bow with her. Whereas before, with some of my rangers, I had a tendency to use more of my sword. So I'm definitely going to aim more for the archery type stuff and see if that continues to work with her. If not, I might end up leaning more on the sword. Or with some of my other characters, maybe I'll use a persona I had used before, and I'll just slap that on because I'm not exactly sure what I want to play at that time. And just sort of go, okay, I'll just go with my usual rogue type character and throw him out there, but maybe he'll grow differently this time.
Yeah.
So
you always need to be prepared for some organic growth. That's going to happen.
I let the growth go. I let it grow as it happens. I have no planning whatsoever.
That's what organic growth
I know,
means.
but you said plan. I'm just saying.
That's why I said you need to plan on there being organic growth.
There's always going to be organic growth.
Yeah, there's always going to be. That's why you need to plan for it.
There's some people I kind of notice that they don't really have that much organic growth going. They sort of have this set plan of this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want my character to turn out like.
And I've done that. I have the set plan where I've gone through at level like 5 I get this ability, level 6 I get this ability, level 7 I get this ability, and I've done that too. You definitely want to strive for a balance between those, but going that route isn't bad either. You may not wind up with the most optimized character, but not every campaign is going to be a campaign of optimized characters going in there. And not every campaign should be that, because having those kind of intense battles where the DM is building an optimized group to fight your optimized group, I wargame. I wargame for that. I mean, I don't need to do that with my RPGs. So
I want to play a character that I know is fun and that I'm having fun with, and that I feel as though this character is actually kind of like how I grow in my own life whenever I have an experience. Maybe I'll learn to adapt certain things, and I'll learn new and different skills, adapting to whatever it is I'm doing. I expect to do that with my own characters. I want to watch them grow. That's part of the reason why I like to play role-playing games, is watching my characters grow. So having any sort of plans beforehand other than a slight idea as to what I want their personality to be. Because as soon as I start gaming, sometimes I'm like, what I had an idea of their personality is not quite what I thought. This game is sort of asking for something else, so I'll just adapt it to that and then go from there. The first couple of games let me really know as to what my character really is.
Yeah.
And that was actually something I really liked what happened with our one high level campaign we did. Is, I mean, I had a plan for that character after level. I think we started at 14 or something like that. But because of some of the stuff the DM was throwing at us, not necessarily in terms of like encounters or anything, but some of the free additional stuff we got. I mean, I never planned on having that character become an exemplar, which a talent exemplar. I forget what. Yeah, it was an exemplar class where he became like great at certain skills. I never dreamed that would happen. I never thought that would happen. I never planned on the I break my thumbs trick and got power from that whatever shadow class my character got. But it added fun extra things to the character, I thought.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to build with that character a character that saw encounters that he was going to dominate them with effort, with little effort is what I was trying to do is with that guy.
Yeah.
And some of the little stuff that got thrown in there was really fun.
So we've talked about what happens when your plans go pear-shaped. We talked about how far out you should plan.
Also, in regards to those characters you were mentioning, that's also a reason why I would recommend not planning to be the best at one thing, but, virtually worthless outside that field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely plan for a character with at least two things you can be good at.
Yeah.
Maybe not the greatest ever, but...
Yes. Which was kind of Arceo's failing. But Firefly, at least, was built around the idea that he would be good at... I mean, he was okay at combat.
And that's actually one of my issues I had with Exalted in editions 1 and 2 is character creation gave you no motivation to not go, I'm the greatest swordsman ever, I'm the greatest talker ever, I'm the greatest sharpshooter ever at character creation. It gave you absolutely no motivation to do that. Which I'll be excited for, which is something I like that they're apparently going to be doing in 3rd edition, is limiting the I started character creation as the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, they're going to make it... they're... From what I've seen is they've made it less optimal to start that way. You could still start that way, but
so you're penalized more than
penalized more than you have been before.
Okay.
So buying that like 4th and 5th dots
are actually going to cost. They're actually going to cost more than the first 3. Unlike now, where it's just 1 point each level. Okay, so actually building opportunity cost into the character, whereas in 1st and 2nd edition, there's no opportunity cost to making yourself to putting everything into one thing.
Yeah. Which I like, as well.
Yes.
The one thing I would say is when you make your plans, as you said, plan to diversify a little. Don't plan to start everything out in... Like, don't put all your eggs into the combat basket. Even if you're playing a fighter class character. Put something into your, diplomacy or intimidation. Actually, put something into both of those.
Master Chief is not a character. Not an RPG character.
I think
actually, Master Chief, as he appears in comics and books, could be, because he does a lot more negotiating than just shooting.
Master Chief from the video games is not a character. He's not an RPG character.
Yeah, he's a...
I think, as you're kind of saying, when you first make a character, don't be afraid to make them a little bland, where they don't...
I wouldn't say bland.
I wouldn't say bland.
Diversified.
Well, yes,
because
but to me...
they're going to have done other things than just that.
Well, you don't want to have pits of valleys necessarily with them, because you want them to be able to mold into whatever situation you want them to go with. So, even things out a little bit, and then as you go, figure out what your character is actually really good with, and make sure that those are increased and not the things that you're not going to really need. I'm trying to think of my own examples of characters that I have found not all that useful in the campaign that I ended up being in, but I'm sorry to say I don't really Do you remember any of my characters that were sort of...
I had a character that was useless, but that was more because of the system than anything that DM was throwing at me.
Yeah.
The one Savage Worlds campaign, the last one we did, in which I tried to play a pacifist. Don't play a pacifist in Savage Worlds. It does not work. You don't do anything.
I did it once before also, but I took the lower grade pacifist, where I was able to still engage in combat.
I think I did that too with that character.
But
it's just that I did. If you don't take anything that outright if you don't, I made him spellcaster. If you don't take any spells that do outright damage, it really doesn't matter if you don't have it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him to be a damage dealer.
Yeah,
Savage Worlds has no negotiation system worth a damn.
Yeah.
I think my most useless character was the one that ended up dying in a campaign where, because she was a cleric and she saw that you were turning evil and went after you. That was the only, but she ended up dying.
That's not necessarily you.
But I
don't useless.
know. Yeah.
It was because you
weren't useless.
That was party dynamic.
That was party dynamic.
But
in my mind, that was sort of close to useless because I made her, and then on the same day, I made her. She died, and then I made another character, and she almost died. I keep saying that she died, but now I'm remembering she almost died.
No, my character died at the end of that one when I finished my turn turned evil.
Well, yeah, but mine still almost died.
I think I took a few of you guys out.
Stupid days.
Yep. So. Sounds like we've got some good ideas for people. With that, we have a question this week. It comes from one of our viewers.
Ooh.
Yay!
Yes. We actually have a viewer question.
Are we going to acknowledge the
the viewer is Noemi-chan. So thank you.
Thank you.
And
the question
Noemi-chan's question is, what makes a good role-playing game setting for you? Liz.
Okay. For me, I can... Role-playing setting. You're not asking necessarily for a game system?
Yeah, we're not asking game system.
Okay.
What makes the setting itself good and attractive to you?
For me, I'm not very fond of futuristic or steampunk kind of stuff. I am very much... I'm even this way when I watch TV shows. I like to watch stuff that takes place. Maybe you might have muskets or simple guns, but mostly people are running around with their swords, and maybe they're wearing simple like chainmail or plate armor. Those kind of settings for me, I can relate to that for some reason in my mind better than I can with steampunk, or I'm not that fond of street urban games. And futuristic,
Shadowrun, not your favorite.
No, it doesn't really. I'm not a mechanical person.
Were you in the D&D Modern campaign I tried to run one time? The one the one that was based off I Am Legend?
No, that was...
No, I found out that it was going to be kind of what I would consider street urban, and I was like, I'm going to step back.
Okay.
Because I really can't... It doesn't really work with me very well.
Yeah. Brian, what about you?
I'm not really, don't have anything against any particular setting type. For me, though, what makes a good setting is one that, it feels like they paid attention to some of the details. The reason I love the Iron Kingdom setting, it's because, if you want to put a campaign in one part of the world or not, there's enough information that you can look at, that you can, one that feels like it could actually be lived in. One that has a dynamic setting where there are groups here, and the different groups have different goals that they're going for, and you can put those in your world, and that's basically what I look for is a campaign where someone could actually a character. Could
feels like
the world actually exists.
Yeah.
So
I'll agree there, but I'll add to that. In addition to having, that flushed out world, where I like to see cultures that are fleshed out. I also like to see there a variety of things.
Yeah.
I want a world that I can explore. I want multiple nations. I want multiple races of people or ethnic groups or something like that.
And I know that's hard for like a person to build themselves. Definitely make that if you're going to build a world like that, make it a collaborative effort.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would probably say start with like one region, maybe have ideas for what the other regions are, but if you're building the character campaign setting and you're gonna have your character start in it like soon, build one region, a city, and expand outward in that kind of way. So they can hear rumors about what's going on in these other places, but then expand it as they go into those other areas. Yeah. Just make it so it seems like a real world is basically what I want.
That's why I do like the Iron Kingdoms, because it does have that fleshed out, but it also has variety in it. You know, there's all kinds of different animals. There's also all kinds of different people. You have the Nis, who have their own unique culture and
shattered culture,
but they still have it.
Yeah.
You have the Iosians. You have the humans, who have multiple cultures in their kingdoms. You have the dwarves and the trollkin, and there's a variety of people and cultures that can clash and mold and shape people. And I love that. And then you also have the Exalted, is because it does have that very fleshed out world with all kinds of different cultures in it, and even each direction has its own culture. You have the
worlds is what me and Nate like.
Fleshed out worlds, yeah.
Well, I also like fleshed out worlds, but I kind of like, I don't necessarily like it so much when people just use the setting, or the setting that comes in with the book.
Yeah.
I definitely like sometimes when people show me a completely different world than what is within that book.
Yeah.
So if they say, you know what, you can't pick any of these deities, I have a whole list of deities for you to go with, this and this and this, and then let me explore that world. Sometimes I just prefer that.
Yeah. And definitely with some of those like pre-made, some of those fleshed out worlds where the authors wrote it down, you also come into the problem where when you play with people who haven't invested in that world, and you have. So you definitely have the issue of like, you don't know about this esoteric issue in this specific culture? How dare you not know everything about my game system?
Well, that's sort of like our issue with Exalted. Some of us haven't spent as much time staying there reading the book as Nathan has. So
correct.
You don't know as much.
And I don't even read the cartoons.
Yeah.
So, fleshed out world, not homogenous, and not future and urban.
Yeah, for me, not future, urban, or steampunk.
And that's
give me good old medieval or Renaissance-y kind of stuff.
That's probably why you're not a big fan of the Iron Kingdoms, because that's kind of steampunk.
No, yeah. Thank you for the question of the week.
Yep, thank you. I enjoyed that one.
Yes, and please, viewers, put a question in the comment for us. We love getting these questions. We love answering them.
I definitely love that one.
Yes. And so, that brings us to a close for this week. So please, just remember...
Kill us. Don't kill us. We're PCs. We're planning to kill you. No, we're not. Subscribe!
Yes, please. Please. If you like our videos, hit subscribe. And also, like. And...
Share?
Share, yes. Share our videos with your friends. Let them know. We're out here.
Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. Please.
Watch, rinse, repeat.
We won't